You're nervous. You're about to go out to the prom and you're kind of sweating. She's like, what are you sweating about? I was like, oh, I'm nervous. She goes, oh, it's okay to be nervous, but let me say one last thing before you leave. What's that, Mom? Don't you walk in that place like you want to buy it. You walk in that place like you own it. Like, whoa.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Christy Wright Show. I'm so excited because today we are talking about how you can build confidence. Yeah, I love talking about this. This is one of my favorite things to help you with. And then later on in the show, I get to share with you part 2 of my interview with the one and only Matthew McConaughey. And he has some amazing stories early in life of things that happened to him that actually built confidence that changed his life. But first, let's talk about where confidence comes from. Now, many of you know that this is one of those topics that I love to not only help you understand, I want to help you build it and put it into practice in your life. But I want to start by sharing a story with you. This is from a book that I love. It's called Real Artists Don't Starve by Jeff Goins. It's a great book for anyone creative, running a side business, running a small business. It helps you have confidence in charging for your business. But there's one particular story that I want to highlight for today. So one of the things he talks about, and this is in the very beginning of the book, he talks about Michelangelo. Now, I didn't know a lot about Michelangelo, but one of the things that I learned from this book is that all of his life, Michelangelo was told he had been born into a noble family. So this sense of identity shaped everything about how he led his life, how he managed his work, how he thought of himself, how he interacted with people. Like, this was a very strong part of who he was and how he saw himself, and as a result, how other people saw him as well. There's a great quote in here. It says, this is from a Michelangelo scholar named William Wallace. He said, if you grow up believing that you are connected to one of the most important families in Europe, and everyone around you believes that, well, that informs your entire persona, and that's how people treat you. This belief in his own nobility guided Michelangelo, shaping his life and paving the route to his success. But here's the interesting part. It wasn't true. He actually wasn't a part of a noble family. It says this was something that historians discovered years later. And then a great line here in this book by Jeff Goins, he says, what made him succeed was not a genetic predisposition or some cosmic giftedness. It was how he thought of himself. He thought of himself as nobility. He believed that about himself. Now, it wasn't true at all, but it drastically shaped how he viewed himself. One of the things that Matthew McConaughey talks about in his new book, Green Lights, is this fun story from when he was little and he was named Mr. Texas. And this idea that he was little Mr. Texas and he won this award shaped his sense of identity in many different ways. Now, you might be listening to this and you might be thinking, great, Christy, good for them. They were little Mr. Texas, Michelangelo, like that's not me. I don't have some unbelievable source of identity where that gives me confidence. I draw my confidence from this title, this family name, this status, this job position. I don't have that. But here's what's interesting. The fact that Michelangelo, or in our example, Matthew McConaughey, had these moments in their life that shaped their identity, that gave them confidence to go for it. What is it? Anything. To audition for that movie, to charge more for his painting, to go for things in life. See, when you have confidence, it gives you the gusto to go for it. Confidence gives you the courage to try. You might fail. You might risk it. You might fall on your face. You might be embarrassed, but you have the courage to go for it because you're confident. Well, you might be thinking, well, I'm not though. I'm not little Mr. Texas. I'm not Michelangelo. I don't have some source of a really strong identity that I can draw this confidence from. So what am I supposed to do? What do you do if you don't have the confidence to go for it? Here's what's interesting. Going for it builds confidence. See, you can have confidence that gives you the courage to go for it, or you could just go for it and that builds confidence. Either way, they work together. So if you don't have the confidence you need to try that thing, apply for that job, launch that product, start that business, it's okay. You don't have to have the confidence to go for it. You can go for it, and when you do, watch how that act builds confidence. When you are courageous over time, when you stop waiting to not be scared to do the thing you want to do, and instead you just decide you're going to do it scared, those acts of bravery build authentic confidence. You naturally think to yourself, what else can I do? Well, it worked. No one slapped my hand. No one laughed me out of the room. Someone bought that product. And it gives you the courage to go for it again and try something else new. That confidence fuels more confidence, which means you're going to go for more things, which fuels more confidence. But so many people sit around and they wait to feel confident before they go for it. But I'm here to tell you, you can go for it. And in going for it, that confidence will be built. You know, I've shared some examples with you all before, one of which was when I slalom skied for the first time. And after I finally stayed up and I was actually able to ski the whole rest of the day, that's all I thought about. Why? Because I tried something new, because I did something scared, because I did something I didn't think that I could do. That built confidence. I naturally thought, what else can I do? What else can I try? And not just in water skiing, what else can I try in work or on social media or in life? You start dreaming bigger and better dreams. You start going for bigger and better things, all because you decided to go for it. You stopped waiting around for some magic feeling or some title or some permission slip or someone to give you the right approval for you to go for it. You just decided to go for it anyway. And in going for it, you build confidence. It's the same way I got into speaking. When I decided to speak for the very first time and I had no right to be on any stage in front of anyone with a microphone, and I just decided to go for it anyway, and then guess what? I survived. I thought, well, maybe I could do that again and again and again. And 12 years later, I'm still speaking, all because I decided to go for it. I wasn't confident before I spoke the first time, y'all. I wasn't confident at all. It was in going for it that I built confidence. Or even just, this is a silly example. Let's use a totally different example, not slalom skiing, not speaking professionally. Let's use a very practical, real life scenario. The first time I took all 3 of my children, age 5 and under, out of the house by myself. I was scared out of my mind. I'm like, okay, we got sippy cups, we've got diapers, we've got 17 car seats, strollers. You hold that person's hand. You don't run in the road. You don't fall on the ground. I was a wreck. My mind was firing on every possible cylinder simultaneously, trying to make sure I could manage what felt like 27 kids at the time, out in public, back in the car, back home in one piece. And I did it. Y'all, I did it. Do you know what that did for my sense of confidence? When I got home, I was like, okay, I don't know what you did today, but I took all 3 of my kids out of the house. Y'all, I know it sounds silly, but up until that point, when Mary Grace was a baby and I had never taken all 3 kids by myself out of the house, I was terrified of doing that. It seemed overwhelming. It seemed insurmountable. It seemed impossible. What will happen if I get stuck or someone runs away or someone steals someone, or I didn't know. But then I went for it. I just did it. I just tried it. I didn't feel confident leaving the house that day. I felt terrified, but I just went for it. I just tried it. And I got home with those 3 kids all in one piece, and I was confident. I thought, okay, you did that once. You can do it again. And now I take them everywhere. I take them out to eat at a restaurant by myself. That's insane. But I can do it because through trying things, I showed myself what I'm capable of. That is how confidence is built. So stop waiting to feel confident, to go for it. Instead, go for it and watch how that builds your confidence. All right, y'all, I want to tell you about a resource that makes screen time meaningful called Minnow. Minnow has shows that kids love, but they have values that parents trust. And it helps our family connect with God every day of the week, not just on Sundays. I know that I can trust Minnow because each episode is carefully selected by their team of moms, dads, and church leaders, making it safe for my kids. You can download the Minnow app or visit gominnow.com and you'll get your first month free if you use the code Christy. That's gominnow.com. All right, y'all, as you know, last week I had the opportunity to sit down with the incredible Matthew McConaughey. He's an actor, producer, father, husband, and now he's the New York Times bestselling author of his new book, Green Lights. And we had part one of our conversation last week. Today, we are continuing with part two. Okay, so this makes me think of something that stood out to me in your book and even hearing a couple other interviews that you did. You talk about your mom and just the unbelievable level of confidence that she instilled in you. And I want to dig into this because I think a lot of people that listen to this show, Matthew, really, to be honest, they struggle with confidence. And so it's one of those things where they don't want to be arrogant and they don't want to seem egotistical, and they just, that's an area they want to grow in. And I love the story of little Mr. Texas. Am I saying it right? Like you were discovered last year, it was run up. You're like, Mom, what happened? So talk a little bit about that and just how she built you up in a way that has given you that courage, it seems like, to go for things and be willing to fail and risk it because you realize your identity's not attached to it. It's like, well, let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. Talk a little bit about that.
Right. Well, that story is a great story. I'll tell it. I'll try and tell it now. So 1977, my mom enters me in the Little Mr. Texas contest. So I get my button down. I got my jeans and boots, my belt buckle. I got this vest. I ride in on a horse. I answer questions about ranching and respect for elders and what I want to be and do the pageant deal. And all of a sudden, boom, confetti's going off. It's over. I got a trophy in my hand. Wow, I got this thing great. And my mom's like, you did it. You're little Mr. Texas. And all of a sudden we go home and that picture of me holding that trophy's framed on the kitchen wall. And every morning from that day on, when I come into breakfast, she stops. She goes, look at you. There you are, Matthew. You are little Mr. Texas. That's 1977. Every day from 77 through 88, which is when I graduated high school, for breakfast, that's what I heard every morning. Well, in 2019, preparing and writing this book, I come across that photo. I'm like, there I am. That's my little Mr. Texas photo. That catches my eye on the engravement plate on the trophy. I'm like, what is that? And I zoom in, I look at it, and it says, runner up. I was like, Mom, I was little Mr. Texas. I was runner up. She was like, oh, well, that kid who won, his family was rich. They bought him a fancy suit that we couldn't afford, so we call that cheating. You are little Miss Texas. And it was like, and so I always joke, because like, would I be here with the life I have if I'd grown up thinking I was runner up? That's one of those little, white lie malaprops that my mom has a real art for. Yeah. She used to say, because she's a real survivor, and not someone who grew up with a family system, a father and a mother system, that she could have much of anything to say, I want to do it like them. It was so remiss and so kind of, I'm not, maybe too strong a word to say wrong, but so dysfunctional that the reason she became a good mom is she was just so disgusted with how she was raised. She goes, I'm going completely opposite of that. So she didn't know how to be a mom. She just knew so much of what kind of mom she didn't want to be. Right. That she became a great mom. Yeah. But also, she would raise us on things like, you're nervous, you're about to go out to the prom and you're kind of sweating. She's like, what are you sweating about? I was like, I'm nervous. She goes, it's okay to be nervous, but let me say one last thing before you leave. What's that, Mom? Don't you walk in that place like you want to buy it. You walk in that place like you own it. Like, whoa, okay, great.
I love it. I love it.
She told me those words before I went in for my screen test for the final summation and the time to kill that got me that role. It was great things to hear from a mother, just as far as perspective of going in with confidence.
Right.
Look, we had her 89th birthday last night.
That's amazing. Happy birthday to her. That's incredible.
Because she didn't like the number 89. She said, I'm looking for 90. I still like number 89. Well, we threw a surprise party. Now, one of the great things about her, and I think this lends to where your question is, she loved making yesterday about her, which it damn well was supposed to be about.
That's right. Yeah.
No false modesty, you know, which is actually a form of condescension sometimes and false humility.
Right.
It's like she's able to own going, thank you for celebrating me on my day.
And that's honest too, right? Like there's something so honest about that versus that false humility. Like there's something beautiful in that.
Yeah. And you know, it's a beautiful confidence to see and to own that. We should respect ourselves. Now, we all know there's ways to overdoing it. Some people go through every single day going, every single thing's about me every day. Right. Well, that can go overboard. And you go, well, you're not taking in context or consideration anybody else. And it's becoming kind of rude. But boy, when it is yours, I know me, I like to, it's the not knowing why I succeeded or failed that I don't like. I like to do things on my own. So if it works, I go, that was me. If it doesn't work, I can go, that was me. At least I know. So, you know, and I think that's part of why she's able to, and someone with that perspective and having that self-respect of themselves on their special day or whatever, it's why she's able to respect others more. Yeah. Too. I think it's why she can make a bigger deal out of my birthday or one of her friends' birthday. She'll help people get, you know, she'll make a friend of hers' birthday be so awesome by sheer force and will that person's like, wow. Thank you. I wouldn't give myself that much credit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's contagious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that perspective. I've always thought, even since I was like a teenager, before I even had children, I have 3 little kids now. I think you have 3 in like middle school.
3.
Is that their age? So my one of the top things I want for them is confidence, because you go further in life, you'll take more risk, you'll walk into a room and look someone in the eye, you know, just all the things that withstand peer pressure, all the things that come with it. But it almost reminds me of what you just said of the leveling up, you know what I mean? Like bringing things down to eye level and going, all right, you know, like this is, I can have this conversation. I can go for this thing, walk in this room like you own it. I tell people all the time to fake it until you feel it. You don't feel confident, that's okay. Throw your shoulders back, hold your head high, and just fake it till you do, you know? Yeah,
and you know, and if you get busted, it's okay.
Oh, well.
God caught me. Boop.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Oh, well.
I was posing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so on the opposite end of the spectrum, you had this amazing mom that instilled confidence in you, you know, spoke that over you. You lived in that truth. You've got those reminders all through your life. You went through something a few years ago where you decided to stop doing rom-coms. You were the rom-com guy. You were everybody's favorite romantic comedy guy. And you decided to change courses. And that was a really brave thing. I'm sure it was a scary thing at the time. Talk a little bit about what that was like. And, you know, did you ever doubt yourself? You know, when scripts weren't coming in, like talk about that season, because that's pretty recent. And I think that'd be amazing for people to hear what that's been like for you.
So I was, this is about 12 years ago. I had quite a few successful romantic comedies. And I had become the go-to rom-com guy. They're medium budget, large studio films. They were making a lot of their money back. I was getting paid handsomely. All the audiences were going to see them. They were fun to do. They were easy to do. I liked doing them. But I noticed that became sort of the only thing that was coming my way, which again was fine. I was fortunate and happy about that. But there were other things I wanted to do. There was some dramatic fare I wanted to do that when I would circle around it or try to, you know, get in one of those movies, the studios would be like, no, we're not financing that with McConaughey. You're the rom-com guy. And I was like, okay. So I also remember reading rom-com scripts, and I remember reading it tonight and going, oh, I could do this tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, I want to find some work that I read it and I go, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but
challenge.
I want to find out.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, if I can't do what I want to do, I'm going to stop doing what I've been doing. So I had a talk with Camilla, there were tears all over the floor because I understood this was a major risk. I mean, I was stepping out of a lane that I had great ownership of in Hollywood, the rom-com lane, and they were paying me handsomely. And that money was renting the houses on those beaches that I was running shirtless and surfing on. Yes, that was damn right it was.
Yeah.
And none of that regrettable, all that absolutely. So I said, if I can't do what I want to do, I'm going to stop doing what I've been doing. So I talked to Camilla, I talked to my agent, I talked to my money man. My money saved it well because I'd say I might not go with work, might not have work for I don't know how long. And I stopped, moved to Texas. No one knows where I am, but the rom-com scripts keep coming in with offers. I read, no. I read, no, thank you. Read, no, thank you. Read, no, thank you. After about 6 months, and finally I turned down one that was for $14.5 million, an offer, and said no thank you to that. When I said no thank you to that one at $14.5 million, I think it sent a little bit of a lightning bolt through Hollywood going, oh, McConaughey's not bluffing.
Yeah, he's serious.
Really not doing these,
Yeah.
Okay? So then nothing came in. For the next 14 months, nothing. I call my agent weekly. He goes, buddy, I don't remember the last time I heard your name. And every
Did that
time
scare
I
you?
see your name, they go, no, thank you. Well, it did, but at the same time, it started building momentum in my sabbatical. It's sort of like, it's a bit like that Australian trip I took.
Yes.
The whole year. It was like, geez, I can pull the parachute after 3 weeks, come back. I was starting to gain like, oh, no. The longer I'm in this, the more penance I'm paying.
Yeah.
I'm gaining strength here. I'm gaining courage. I'm gaining identity. I'm being forced to be an underdog. I'm being forced on an island. Yeah. Now, it was wobbly. There were, started to peek at the bottle maybe before 6 o'clock sometimes and go, because the days were long.
Right.
I don't have work. Where was my significance, et cetera, et cetera. But I had a newborn to look after, which was I remember it became obvious very early that, okay, if you don't have these things to work on, that is your livelihood and your career, if you just put your attention on your newborn son, you can't go wrong. That's a great place to put all of your attention at any time. You can't do too much of that.
Yeah.
So that helped. There was a family crisis outside of my immediate family that appeared. And you know how it happens when those happen. Whether even if I was working, doing the work I was wanting to do, there's kind of crisis that comes up where the rest of the world stops and you go, guys, see you later. I got to go handle this. And it's clear, there's no question about it. So I was finding purpose in those things. And right about that time when I wasn't even really thinking about going back to Hollywood, I was already like, I'll decide, I may change careers. I'll go do something else, but I'll deal with that after I finish dealing with this family crisis.
Yeah.
Well, guess what shows up? Lincoln Lawyer, Killer Joe, Paperboy, Magic Mike, True Detective, Mud, Bernie, Dallas Buyers Club. The 20 months that I was gone, that I was not in your living room, in your theater in a rom-com, that you did not see another picture of me on the beach shirtless, it was where'd McConaughey go?
Yeah.
So for 20 months, I gained anonymity again. And now became a new, novel, interesting, original, good idea for one of these dramas.
They looked at it differently.
And when they came, I was ferocious about it. I said, I know exactly what I want to do. This is it. Let's line them up and let's knock them out.
I love it. And it's amazing. You tell so many of those stories in this book, like when you talked about Dallas Buyers Club, and I think you've referenced this in some other interviews too, but just not even having the budget, showing up on day one, doing the thing in 25 days. Like it's insane what you've been able to do with just such tenacity and commitment and persistence, which has just been incredible to watch. I'm so grateful that you wrote this, and I'm so grateful that you recorded it on audio because it's so fun to listen to you with like you are acting the whole thing out. You feel like you're there. Before we wrap up, because I know we have to respect your time, you've got more interviews. I've got some random rapid fire questions before we wrap up. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Number one, what is your favorite movie line you've ever had?
All right.
Oh, so good. I did not know until I listened to the book that was the first line you ever said on film, and you made it up, and you weren't supposed to be in that scene. Such a cool backstory. Okay, favorite movie line you wish you had? Favorite movie line I wish I had.
Don't know the line. It's a scene in the film adaptation where Nicolas Cage, the actor, is talking to Nicolas Cage, the actor who's playing the other actor, and he's telling him the meaning of love. Check it out. It's about a 2-minute scene.
Okay.
It's beautiful, about unconditional love. It's a story
good.
where, one brother saying to the other brother, how you've always gone through life just not regretting or not or being able to forgive people for things. Like, what about that girl, what's her name, Barbara, in high school, that said, when you asked her to go to the prom, she said, yeah. And then she said, meet me in front of the lockers. And she had all her friends there, and they all started laughing, going, she was never going to go with you. And you brushed it off your back like water off a duck's back. And the brother tells him, well, it wasn't about Barbara. I did love Barbara. It wasn't about her saying yes to me to go to the prom or not. I mean, I wish she would have said yeah, but it wasn't about her making fun of me. I still dug her regardless of how she felt about me. And it's a really beautiful, it's much more poetic than I just said it, but it's a beautiful parable about love.
I love that. It's so deep. I love it. Okay. Best part of 2020 for you?
Family.
It's good. Okay. Thing you're looking most forward to for 2021?
Revelation and revivals.
Oh, I like that. Okay. First thing you do when you wake up?
Stretch.
Okay. One thing you can't live without?
Music.
That's good. I like this. All right. Last one. The number one thing you hope people take away from this book?
Hey, that place we want to get individually and as people and as neighbors and as states and countries and believers and non-believers and everything. In this life, there's no final destination. There's not a ta-da moment. We don't arrive at anything in this life and go, finally, I got it. No, that result is unattainable. If we can look at life as the game that we can keep constantly chasing that result, maybe escalating, get just a little bit better, a little bit closer every day, and understand and shake hands with the fact that that's the process, that's as good as it gets. That's the end game in this life. Then we stay in the race, we commit to the chase, that's as good as it gets.
I love it. These really are the good old days. This is such an awesome book. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for recording it. Thank you for sharing this side of your life and your story with us. I know so many people are finding such hope and just also feeling inspired to live their own story in a better way. So thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us, Matthew. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
We were drawn to Christian Healthcare Ministries because we both had young families and we wanted to have more children. And we had also just started a real estate company and needed to find healthcare coverage that would meet our needs. We were attracted to CHM because of its low monthly costs and the ability to negotiate medical costs down.
Established in 1981 and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, CHM is here to meet the needs of your growing family or small business. Check us out at chministries.org.
We absolutely believe in it.
All right, y'all, I would love to share a verse with you that is one of my favorites. And this is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 43. I love the entire chapter, but this particular verse is so perfect for what we're talking about. We're talking all about going for it, trying new things. And let's be real, new things are scary, right? A lot of times, if it's new, it feels unknown, it feels vulnerable, it feels risky. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It might be a new situation you find yourself in, a new season of life, a new challenge, a new goal, a new position at your company, a new business, a new project. It doesn't matter. If it's new, it's a little bit exciting because you're like, oh, this is new possibilities. This is fun. It's energizing. At the same time, it's new. It's scary. It's different. What if I don't like it? What if it doesn't work? What if I embarrass myself? What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if I fall on my face? It's new. I love how Joyce Meyer says, new levels, new devils. Right when you conquer your fear of one thing, the moment you push yourself outside your comfort zone, you go for it, you try something new, there's new fears that come with that. But I love this verse from Isaiah. because it's a reminder that new isn't always bad. New can be good. This is from Isaiah 43, verse 18. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I don't know about you, but sometimes in my life, I get so stuck in my ways. I get so stuck in my habits and my routines that even when God is doing something new in my life, I miss it. I don't notice it. Or even if I notice it, I might even be resistant to it. What he's doing might be better. It's new and different, new and improved, new and better in some way. And I'm resistant just because it's new. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. It feels scary. It feels unknown. That's why I love this reminder that God is doing new things in your life and in my life, but it's up to us to see it. It's up to us to notice it, to look for it, and to go for it. I love these reminders. I want to give you some journal questions to think about. I know that right now when you're listening to this, there is something that's coming to mind. So I want to give you some journal questions to process that and have the courage to write it out on paper. You don't have to do anything about it necessarily right now, but I do want you to consider what God is showing you through this message today. Your first journal question is this: what new thing do you sense God is doing in your life? What comes to mind? When I share this verse from Isaiah, see, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? What comes to mind for you? Write down your answer. All right, question number 2. What do you sense God is urging you to do about it? Maybe it's just write it down. Maybe that's your first step, is just having the courage to get it out of your head and onto paper. Maybe it's just having the courage to face it, to own it, to admit it. What is that for you? Maybe it's taking action. Maybe there's a phone call you're supposed to make, maybe a Google search. Maybe you're supposed to take some practical step toward that new thing he's been urging in you and prompting you with, that thing that is springing up that you are just avoiding because it's new and different and maybe a little bit scary. What do you sense God is urging you to do about that thing you wrote down? Write down your answer. All right, and your third journal question is this: what would it look like to just try it? You know, last week we talked about looking for the good, focusing on the good. Instead of worrying about all the possibilities of what could go wrong, look for what could go right. What would it look like to try it? What are the possibilities of this new thing? What do you sense God might want to improve or help or make better in your life because of this new thing? I want you to dream of all the possibilities of what could be right and good about this. What would it look like to just try it? Write down your answer. All right, I would love to pray for us as we wrap up like we always do. God, thank you that you do new things in our life. God, thank you that you care. You care about every star in the sky. You care about every hair on our head. You care about every decision we have to make. God, you are in this world with us. You are so near to us. You're not in the clouds, peering down with judgment. You are with us in the good times and the bad times. You're walking with us through decisions that we're scared of. You are doing new things, making new ways. You are opening doors we don't even realize. God, would you give us the courage to walk through the doors you're opening for us? Would you give us the wisdom and discernment to know which doors those are? Would you give us the courage the confidence, the discipline, the gusto to go for it, even when we're scared. God, would you show us what you want us to do and then give us the ability to do it? In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all so much for joining me, and you can tune in next week for another new episode of The Christy Wright Show. And as always, for more encouragement on building confidence in yourself and the God that created you, you can visit ChristyWright.com.